And we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We're reunited at last. How's everyone doing?
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
All right, so what are we talking about today? Lord only knows.
Well, got a lot going on in the world, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
Sticky mess. But you want to put your head down, stay busy, stay fit. I was going to ask you, gents, you guys work out? You get to the gym? You got a exercise regimen? I'm pretty
You know what?
old.
I have been anti working out my entire life. I didn't start working out, but I started doing some stretches for the benefit of my posture, which I'm trying to work on. So I'm like micro working out.
There you go. That's good.
I, I
But you never
just
did it before.
Never.
Wow. Okay. Riddick?
I just started again about a week or so ago. Like for me, it's like on and off. It's weird. Like, I'll make a New Year's resolution and then I won't abandon it in the first month. I'll keep going for like a year and a half, but then I will abandon it for like 3 years and then come back later.
Ah, okay. I
So
get that.
okay, it's not been 3 years, it's been 2 years. I was let me just say the positive endorphins that you get from working out, really, really good. I was getting my endorphins elsewhere as we've discussed. So I'm back to getting them from a more sustainable and healthy source. But yeah, no, I don't I don't like eat super healthy or like want to watch my diet, etc. But I gained like 30 pounds or something over the past year or so, and I've actually been getting more muscle definition just because like even if you're not eating at a caloric surplus, your body will like burn the fat and then use the food that it takes in for muscle. And you can actually, if basically what I'm trying to say is if you're chubby, you can still gain muscle while losing weight, and I've been doing that and it's satisfying. So
I've been actually trying to go the other way. I'm trying to get as chubby as I possibly can and then craft that into some ass kicking muscles,
you
and
can
then
become a
go
sumo
around.
wrestler.
Well, I could do that, or I just want to be ripped enough to go up to somebody and knock the food out of their hands, when they're eating meat on the street and just knock it out of their hands and say,
Yeah.
fuck you going to do about it?
Trust this. I'm so. I lost 30 pounds about a year and a half ago, and I did it solely by limiting my diet to like a smoothie and a very small meal at night, which is the most obvious way to lose weight is to basically eat nothing. But what I found is I didn't gain the weight back once I went back to my old diet, my old dietary ways. But the only difference I made was the limiting my eating to like a 7 hour window. Like I think they call it intermittent fasting or whatever. But
Yeah.
some days I just don't eat for preferably 18 hours, but like at least 17 hours. And then I found I can eat whatever I want in that window, and it doesn't seem to actually convert to fat, strangely. So that's been
Interesting.
my secret.
Yeah, no, I've
Oh, I
been I've
like
been
that.
doing the same thing. I'll wake up in the morning, I'll have a protein shake, and then all I'll do is just drink a lot of water. I think people nowadays just don't drink enough water. So drink a lot
That's
of
part of
water. I
it.
drink sparkling water as well often. But yeah, so yeah. But
Well,
I think yeah, it's also I live in New England, right? So it's so fucking cold outside like half the year, and then all of a sudden it's so sunny. It's very sunny outside, so just getting out walking as well, good way to do
Getting
that.
sun, it's incredible. It's such a simple thing, but man, I started to go out for the last year. I've gotten an hour of sun a day. I just go out and bask like a lizard. Like it's this whole focus is just getting sun. I go to this cafe just a block away. I get a latte and I just sit there and I just get sun. And it's been incredible. I mean, you just come away like you forget how energizing sun is until you're deprived of it. So,
oh,
um, highly recommended.
I
Yeah,
know
no,
because I live in Germany and pretty much everybody's got a vitamin D deficiency. And just around February, you just break down. You just break down into some kind of funk that's impossible to get out. And it's because you haven't seen the sun. And then the sun came out this week. Every German is happy now. It's amazing. All of a sudden, everybody's happy. So, yeah.
Tell me this. I was not in Germany. I don't know how to define the culture differences between these countries that border each other, but I was in Luxembourg, and I'm
Uh-huh.
really interested. I've never gotten a straight answer. I literally was staying at this house, and it was about 12 p.m., and I simply had a cup of coffee in my hand. I walked out into the front yard, and I stood in front of the house and drank coffee. Like the most benign activity on earth, right? that would no one would think anything of it in this country. The entire neighborhood came out of their house. They're peering. They're looking behind their curtains. I caused a commotion, stepping out, just
Really?
simply being outside with a cup of coffee. And I asked my host, "Can you explain this?" And they said, "Oh, you can't just walk. You can't just. It's weird. Like that was a weird thing to do. Like, of course you're gonna." And I couldn't get an answer as to why that was weird. Can you explain this?
Whoa, that does sound weird. So you were, what was it, a big town, large town?
I know it's not like I'm leaving details out, but I was literally standing in the front yard with a cup of coffee, drinking it, and I was told that is considered somehow a social faux pas, and I could never get a
No,
straight answer.
your friends were fucking with you. That's not true.
Okay. Well, it sounded that way, but I heard this from two different people. They said that I was the weird.
Oh
one.
no, you can't drink coffee in a courtyard, dude. You just can't do it.
It wasn't it was like I was like on the sidewalk. Okay, anyway, we'll move on.
Dude, fucking highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. But you know what? I've only been to Luxembourg once, and I just stopped and pissed on the side of the road and kept going. So I don't know. I'll ask my AIs.
Moving. Have any of you been to Gainesville, Florida? I just spent a week there. Anyone?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
so am I wrong? So I spent the darkest days of my life there, 3 months when I was a fugitive. The first 3 months, literally after we got pulled over, was in Gainesville. So my sense of it is very clouded, but is it in fact the worst college town in the country? Or is that just
well, have you visited them all?
Yes. Probably literally
Have you been to Tuscaloosa?
Actually, no. Okay, so I can see how that would be a contender as well.
I got a fucking shotgun pulled on me in Tuscaloosa at a football game that I was trying to busk, and they fucking pulled a shotgun on my ass and almost fucking blew me and my band away. A bunch of drunken frat dudes.
Okay.
Gainesville's rough too. Look, I played Tim and Terry's, a venue in Gainesville and stuff, and then I stayed with some hippies outside of town. It's a tough town too. It's just a bunch of fucking idiots and cops. But
well, Peter, you ever been to Central Massachusetts, Worcester, college town here?
Yeah, I know Northampton pretty well. Amherst, yeah. Is that Central? I don't know if that's Central.
That's Western. I'm in Worcester. If you know anything about Worcester, we got WPI, Clark, pretty accessible from Boston. It used to be really shit here, but like from what I've heard, probably in the early 2000s at least, but it's gentrified since the past 10, 15 years. So I wouldn't be a contender anymore.
I've definitely been. I spent a minute there. Yes. Yeah.
I've been to Worcester too. Yeah.
Worcester. I actually really like Worcester, but yeah.
But as far as there's towns with colleges, which is every town, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's college towns where the college is the dominant cultural, economic force. And I'm not sure if that's true about Worcester. Probably true about Tuscaloosa, but like Gainesville, in terms of the towns that are just dominated by the college, Gainesville is in my opinion, there's 50,000 undergrads and there's nothing to fucking do there. Like there's just nothing going on. It's just this ghetto University Avenue with like every other store is abandoned, and it's bizarre. And anyway, I just went back to it. That's where I go when I want to get things done and not be distracted with.
Bro, that's how I feel about all of America now, where I go, what a bunch of sad, pathetic pieces of shit. Like I was like looking at Alabama and like that region and Georgia and Florida. I was like, it is beautiful because I needed sun. So I was like, I'll just look up sunny places. And I'm looking around, and then all of a sudden I get these photos, and it's these people having a birthday party, but they all have just this massive, tragic cottage cheese thighs from years of drinking Mountain Dew. And all my folks are from Alabama, and this is the thing: they're all on antipsychotic drugs, and they're all drinking this, sugar syrup and ballooning up like nobody's skinny at all. Yeah, it's just super sad. I don't know where I was going with that, but it was really shocking to see the people don't take care of themselves over there. People are ignorant, and I never want to go back. Another college town is Lawrence, Kansas. It's the only game in town. I think it's a lot of agriculture and shit. But my buddy, you've been there, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was there, and I guess my reputation preceded. This one was a fusion. My reputation kind of preceded me. In the sense of, oh, that's the guy who's like themed his whole identity around being a petty criminal or whatever. So I roll in, and these anarchist kids like already decided they hated me before I even rolled in. And And then when I left, they made this big uproar about we saw him go into an independent coffee shop and steal a bunch of coffee from the coffee shop. It's like fucking clowns. I didn't know such thing.
Really?
But I
I wouldn't put it past you.
What's it? No, I was not.
It's unethical, man. Well, speaking of shoplifting, it's time for me to incriminate myself because this video isn't staying up. I just because I just shaved today, I thought of a story that happened a few years ago. I went to the local grocery mart that I live near, and I went to buy shaving razors, and I noticed that they were locked, and I was just like, "What?" So I called the guy over. I'm like, and I was just like, "Can you unlock these? I want to buy them." They're like locked with a lock onto the friggin' thing. So I was just like, "Can I buy one of these? Can you unlock this? I want to buy one of these." He's like, "Sure." And so when I'm taking out, I'm like, why are these in specific locked? Like shaving razors aren't even that expensive compared to other stuff here. And it's just like, oh, well, people, buy and resell them a whole bunch. And I'm like, are you sure it's not unhoused people just trying to shave? And he's like, no. There's like criminal gangs or rings or something like that are stealing these. And I was like, huh. And so I shoplifted that set of razors just out of spite.
You actually, after you unlocked it, you stole the razors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the lock.
I kind of pretended not to know what the left-hand method was when you described it, but that is what I used. It fucking worked, man.
What don't you like, if somebody tells you not to do something, I have this basic instinct to go ahead and just do it, even though I wasn't even going to do it I wasn't even thinking about doing it. But now that you said that,
I was parked somewhere on a yellow curb, and this cop or this like meter person comes up to me and knocks on my window really aggressively and goes, "Hey, you're like in a loading zone." And I said, "Yep," and I rolled the window up. He knocked on it again. I rolled it down. He's like, "Are you gonna move?" And I said, "Nope." And I rolled it back up and gave me $100 ticket. So I'm out $100 because I refused to cower to this man, because if someone tells me to do something, I just
oh
that
my
is
God,
hilarious.
yeah. It says,
well, I'm actually curious though. The reason I told that story was not just because I shoplifted it, but although I'm very proud of myself for doing that. But is that actually a thing? People, no, seriously. I mean, just the guy, like the way he was like, "Oh, there's like criminal rings, they're reselling them," like so condescendingly. I was like, "Dude, fuck off!" I bet you it's just people who want to shave. So there's a lot of homeless people in the area.
Listen, I actually think he's right. I think he's
really?
right.
I was going to ask. Wow.
I remember in the days before shoplifting was cool and before everyone knew you could liquidate products on Amazon and eBay, it was pretty much, like the punk rock kids, or like it wasn't quite mainstream yet. And that razors are exactly what we went for. And I say we, actually, I wasn't. Wow. This people were doing this before I was doing it. So razors were a big, because you have to think in terms of like what's small and what does everyone need that's going to sell quickly. And so razors are on that short list. So I think he's right. I actually think
that's actually I never thought about that. But I'm just curious, like, not I don't know why razors in specific, but not something like shampoo. But I don't know. That's weird.
I don't know why they're so expensive. Are they expensive or not?
I don't think they're that expensive.
The size of a razor. I mean, you say in your mind the shampoo and razors are roughly the same, but the shoplifter's perspective, that's a 10x difference. So,
right. Yeah.
It actually is a big difference.
It's about getting it out of the door. Anything that could fit in the palm of my hand, that's fair game. And that's the stuff that they immediately say, put a like electronic tag on that, or put it behind the counter.
Dude, one of the closest calls I had when I was a fugitive, like on the short list of like top 5, like I thought I was going down, was we were in it was actually a Kmart. I don't even know if Kmart's still a thing. It was a Kmart in Orange County, and I was with a friend, and for some reason we needed like some kind of cleaning solution, like a big, like maybe like laundry detergent, like a big jug. And so I left-handed, using the left-hand shoplifting technique, left-handed jug, and bought like a candy bar or something. Get around the corner, and we're on foot, and these loss prevention agents run up on us. And they're like, you can tell immediately that they'd been told that that we had stolen something, but they didn't know what we'd stolen. So they were like, open your jackets. Meanwhile, I had this jug of like $30 laundry detergent. It's like in my hand. Like, open your jackets, open your pockets, and they're looking confused because we don't have anything in our
free
pockets.
left-hand magic, huh?
We don't have anything in our jackets or anything, and they're just looking at each other like, We'd been told these people were criminals, but we're shoplifting, but they weren't. We don't find anything concealed. And I had this fucking thing I just stole in my hand the entire time, and they let us go. And that was
Wow, that's incredible.
I was like, I'm done for.
Okay, so like I actually wonder because I read about that in a zine, like quite a while ago, and I've only used it a few times. I did get into trouble for using it once in Spain, though. I shoplifted a bottle of champagne. But what's up?
That means you didn't do it right.
Oh,
Sorry.
sure. I'm just like, I'm actually curious why it works. Is it just because it's out in the open? Like, do you think they're assuming that? Do you think that they think like, oh, this person might have bought this somewhere else, or like, why does it work?
It's hiding in plain sight. It's the oldest
Just hiding
trick
in plain
the book.
sight, huh?
Yeah.
Psychology.
It's not just that though, because you can walk out the door with something and you're still. I would still consider that to be a risky endeavor, although I've certainly done that a lot. It works because the moment you get in the line, whoever is paying attention stops paying attention to you.
Oh, that too, yeah.
The eyes in the sky, that loss prevention, doesn't matter. They're all like.
Let's say most of the time they'll pan off you. But if you really look suspicious, and there's it's Walmart in the middle of the night, then the guy will follow you.
I mean, I would never have stolen from Walmart, but for that reason, or like Target or whatever. But also, I feel like I would always look suspicious. Like I dressed in my mind, in my mind was like a college student attire. But looking back, I realized how clueless I was. Like I had a skateboard everywhere I went. I had a backpack everywhere I went, and I looked like my version of a well-dressed college kid, which was not aligned with reality at all.
Yeah. So, I didn't get in trouble for sampling foods, until I would go into Whole Foods with a backpack on. As soon as that backpack was on, I was a target.
Yeah.
For me, I thought that actually being a student and carrying around a student ID, at least for my U.S. college when I was in Europe, helped. They were just like, oh, here's some American college kid. He's probably, and I just said, and I was going to a language school there. I was learning Spanish. So that actually helped me. But I guess I actually had evidence of being a student. So maybe,
And if it gets to the point where they have to ask for your ID, you're kind of already in too deep.
Yeah. Well, typically they'd say like, well, yeah, no, but I mean like, the one time that I got into trouble, they were really chill about me being a student. So maybe, do you think that they're suspicious of students, or do you think they're suspicious of people who are trying to present themselves as students?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're suspicious of students, but I think it's, in my mind, students carry backpacks because I never went to college, but that doesn't actually make sense if you're like in Whole Foods and it's suburb.
Right,
like, it doesn't make sense. So I think they're suspicious of people carrying backpacks or people who don't fit the demographic of the store's client.
Right. It's not just about what you're dressed as too. I told you guys this before. There's a psychological trick that I thought in my mind was a good idea, which was, I didn't have a car, but I wanted to say that I had just went through the drive-through so that I could say you missed my order or whatever. And I thought, as long as I'll just take my house keys, okay, and I'll put them around my finger and I'll go like this. I'll twirl them around and I'll walk in briskly. You run in there very quickly and say, hey, I think, and you pound on the counter and you make direct, loud, booming voice. Hey, we just ordered 5 number 5s and 6 number 6s. You missed a cheeseburger or you missed a soda, whatever. Can I get that real quick? I'm just parked out here. I got to go. I'm in a hurry. And 9 times out of 10, because of that sort of combination of stimuli, like it's overwhelming. And any kind of coy, shy 17-year-old Chick-fil-A fucking employee will just say, oh, yeah, okay. Like most everybody under 20 is inept anyway.
Yeah, using props is always. I think it's always powerful. I think we might have talked about the free hotel scam that is very inconsistent record, but like going in up to the front desk in a bathrobe just like looks like you know what I mean? Like who would come out of their car in a bathrobe? It doesn't make sense.
Or re-entering the cinema with popcorn buckets.
There we go.
Yeah, this is a good one. Yeah.
I've been trying to think, dude. They were like, you probably won't know, Peter, but Chris, like the Terrifier movies, right? Like for some reason, when the new one came out, they were selling like an Art the Clown popcorn bucket, and I do not understand why they were selling it like online on the internet. I guess it's for you to eat popcorn out of in your home, but I'm wondering if cinemas bring in like your own popcorn bucket or something like that, because I could easily imagine myself just getting a popcorn bucket from home, filling that up, and bringing it in. I know you can also look through the garbage bin as well and
That's the classic one. Yeah.
That probably
I
makes
got that. I
sense.
did that. I did that one time, and there was like chewing gum in the bottom of it. And I was like,
Or I could just walk
no.
out, or I could just walk out with a popcorn bucket. But considering they're made out of paper most of the time, it might not be very hygienic. Then again, popping some popcorn and then just reusing the same bucket, I don't have to eat out of it either. So
Oh God, yeah. I
popcorn's
usually
a lot
don't go
cheaper than a movie
places.
ticket.
I just
Yeah.
try to stay home, man. I watch all my movies on the thing. I don't like going out anymore. I think public is disgusting. I went on this big train trip and I went down there and stuff, but and I got stuck at the train station, like the train left, and the only place that was open, I was starving. The only place that was open was fucking Burger King. It was the last thing in the world that I wanted to do. So I went and got the plant-based Whopper and the plant-based thing, and I sat like a fucking animal. And yeah, I try to avoid public for just that very reason, being coerced into making bad decisions.
Speaking of fast food restaurants, I don't have like a really strong memory of them because I was like super young and like I only gained a consciousness around like age 6. But like I remember fast food restaurants in the past used to be so much nicer, just such nicer places in terms of,
Yeah.
physical structure, appearances, etc. Nowadays they literally look like, pop up like haunted house attractions or something like that, just in terms of sturdiness. It looks like a Halloween Horror Nights thing, just like fucking cardboard walls, the friggin'
Yeah.
employees. Like I
I was sitting there eating this burger like an animal, had mayonnaise all over my face, and there was this fake like green, there's like they put this wall of plants where it looks like it's real, and I was all disappointed. And I reached up and I felt the leaves of the plant. I was like, it's fucking fake.
Yeah, well,
have you guys seen the there's a video that went around, I was like Twitter or something the other day, but like it was a playroom in McDonald's in like, I think it was in Alabama. And they used to have, maybe you guys, this might actually be before your time, but they would have these like elaborate like jungle gyms and like ball pits and all this stuff.
Oh, sure.
yeah.
The playroom was 2 TV screens and 2 chairs.
Yeah, I saw that photo.
On the wall. Absolutely like dystopian. But what I was going to say is the reason I think there's been a decline in fast food, because I have very little experience because we did not do that growing up. My grandmother would take us on the weekends, but that was it. My family didn't go to fast food. And then I became vegan when I was 17. But the reason I think there's a decline is this is just my off-the-cuff observation, but I think there's been a class stratification that's happened over the last couple of decades that didn't exist before, where like now there is a place for the poor people, there is a place for maybe the middle people, but we don't really have a middle class anymore, and there's a place for the rich people. And there didn't used to be like the wealthy person's version of food. Like you have to go to a sit-down restaurant and put on a bow tie or something. Now, like if you have money, like you don't have to go to McDonald's anymore. You can go to Whole Foods, or you can go to where the hell ever. And I think everything is kind of like splintered off. There's just more options, and so it's like only the poorest people going to fast food now, I think.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, the other
really
thing
says
is
something that people were suspicious, like the conspiracy theorists were suspicious of Luigi being caught in a McDonald's because they're like, why would a kid from such a well-off family go to a McDonald's? Meanwhile, I'm sitting here and thinking, why not? I want to say, growing up in the Middle East, in countries like, growing up in the United Arab Emirates, in Dubai, like fast food, it's not the same as it is. It's much higher quality, especially like, the chicken and whatnot, like the poultry, much higher quality than here in the US. And people, like even in the Gulf countries where you have like, a big division between the locals that are there and like the foreign expatriates and like the migrant workers, fast food restaurants are actually the third place where everyone will go. Whereas, well, okay, let's to put it bluntly, there was a time where I found myself blacking out and waking up in a random part of Worcester after a party, and the only place that was open I could go to was a McDonald's. And within me stepping in, like within the 20 minutes that I were there were 2 separate altercations that broke out that required police to come over. There was a fight and the police came over, and literally like as I was entering, I walked in watching 2 people fighting and a policeman coming over. And then like 15, 20 minutes later, some dude started screaming at his girlfriend or his ex or whatever on the phone. And he had a fucking baseball bat with him and he started smashing it on the table. And I just walked out and I saw a police car drive up. That was within 20 minutes.
Every time I get drunk and go to Burger King, I bring in my baseball bat.
Yeah.
Just in
And by
case.
the way, I had no memory of what happened like the 6 hours before this, literally like my memories flooded back in as I was walking towards this McDonald's. And then I called a cab, I got myself home, and I just like thought about that, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening to America? Like fast food restaurants for me were always a safe place growing up in the Gulf, but and even from my early memories because I spent the first few years of my life in the US. But just like nowadays, they're actively dangerous. They're fucking flimsy.
They're terrible.
It's
It's
insane.
the worst people, and it's the most, and not just because they eat meat. It's just the worst people. The people are gonna be terrible no matter what they ate.
Yeah.
It's the worst. I'm really proud that somehow I buffed, despite being completely destitute for almost my entire adult life up until recently. I somehow buffered myself against ever having to be around those environments. Like I see it. I always, like when I was hitchhiking, when I was homeless, I would just, where's the rich suburb? I'm going there, and I would just always. That's just what I defaulted to. So
took me years, you guys. You rich kids. You rich kids were all lucky that you get. I was poor. Nobody told us. They said, "Oh, that's food." My mom says, "We'll get you a bite to eat," and then we go eat.
Well, I didn't even realize how dangerous the world is until I came to the US. I didn't even realize how dangerous the world is until I came to the US, because I grew up in Dubai. And then whenever I'm in India, I'm in Bangalore, which is a super wealthy and, a sort of bubble-like city. And like, yeah, there's poverty there, especially with the people who've moved in. But I go from like, my air-conditioned apartment and whatnot to like a car with like a chauffeur because they're cheap as fuck in India. And it's for my grandparents. Works for my grandparents. And then I go to my grandma's house, etc. Like, I would never find myself in those situations. And also, fast food in India is expensive. So even the fast food restaurants in India, not the same environment as the US. I was in shock that I would even see like, something that required police at a Burger King, at a random McDonald's, let alone fucking violent crimes like within like, 20 minutes of one another. I just got out of there the second that I got a cab. It's insane.
Yeah. So in the South in America, Waffle House was the first ones that had these like late night drunken brawls, and they were famous for late night Waffle House fights. And I saw a few myself when I was in the South and stuff, but then it just is increased. And there was this
breakout into like twerking, but I've never seen actual fights at Waffle House. But I've been anything. Waffle House
and I've also seen people fucking. There'll be a guy fucking a girl behind the Waffle House at the end of the night too.
Interestingly, that McDonald's that I just mentioned where the fights broke out did have a children's play area. I mean, a really shitty and crappy one compared to like the ones that I was used to. But yeah, the idea of children playing around in the area, like goo goo gaga. Meanwhile, there's these guys throwing fists at each other and like some guy yelling, "Why were you grinding on him?" And then bringing out a baseball bat and fucking smashing a table with it. That was funny. I mean, probably though also that was at like 2 a.m. at a 24/7 McDonald's. So I don't imagine it's always that bad, but still.
Yeah, even at lunchtime, it's the same.
Right.
No, I mean, look, America's a business, and we've sold off a lot of our we sold off a lot of our ability to fend off big business. Other cultures have not got this yet. So when KFC and McDonald's come into their countries, they still have to play by the rules of these countries. And in Germany, the quality of the products that you get in these stores are still slightly higher, and probably the same, like you said, in the Gulf.
Dude, so I do.
Back home, we don't have any protections.
I do eat vegan options at fast food restaurants, but so I've actually managed to try them out. But like, yeah, I mean, they have like vegan chicken. They had at least in the Thailand KFC. But even my memories growing up, like the quality of the food that you would get at fast food restaurants in the Gulf, in Thailand, even hell in parts of India, literally like as good as like a normal restaurant. I don't know why like they're so dumpy in the United States and good in other countries. I'm guessing it's a class thing once again, because the whole concept of Burger King, McDonald's being poor people's food does not hold in India, where people would be eating out of the garbage or street food.
So my wife just got back from Bosnia. She went for her job. She went down to Bosnia for working at the university and stuff. And the difference, these two countries are in the Eurozone, Germany and Bosnia. But the differences between the quality of the food that they get is totally incredible. And the quality of their air, like she went to a place called Banja Luka, and it's the worst air quality in all of Europe.
Jesus.
And they just live like that. And then in addition to breathing in all this toxic air, that she went to the store and found that they have MSG in chips where they don't have that back home. They've got, it's totally different. Like in Germany, you don't see a lot of fist fights because everybody's well off, well to do, punctual, going somewhere, has got, work. They do happen, these late night brawls. But apparently they happen all the time in Bosnia. My wife has already got to see a few people scuffling. But no, it's just like poor people get the shitty end of the stick. Even like Denny's, right? That used to be like fancier. It's Applebee's. It's the highest calorie content food that you can get. It's toxic poison. Poor people, working class people think this is fancy. It's sad. And then everybody else goes to a country club or goes to the bistro at the newly designed Sopa, whatever they call it. Soho, Sopa, Nopa. They have all these new, you know what I'm talking about. They got these.
No, I have no idea what
They'll,
you're talking
they'll,
about. Because
they'll open up a Whole Foods and then they'll open up a little bistro, and it'll all be geared
Right.
towards yuppie, upper class, techie kind of urban douches, right? Newly built condos that are completely postmodern and square with
I know exactly what you're talking about
features.
because, like I mentioned, Worcester's like actively gentrifying right now, and we're seeing those pop up everywhere. What pisses me off the most, though, is we've lost a really cool, like kind of strip mall, shopping mall thing that I loved when I literally the first year that I moved here to Massachusetts. Within just a few months, it was gone, and the next year it was replaced with an Amazon center.
There you go.
I just said Amazon, like a British person. Amazon, whatever.
Amazon.
But yeah, produce, whatever.
So here's another take. And when I heard this the first time, I was offended by it, and now I get it. So you guys know Ian MacKay, Minor Threat, Fugazi, etc.,
Yes.
etc. So somebody asked him, someone asked him a question about like food inequality or something, and he said, what? He's like, why is, of all the things to complain about being high cost, why would you pick food? That is the one thing that you actually should invest your money in, because you can pay them now. I'm going off my own tangent here, but like you can pay them now or pay them later. You can invest in good food now, or you're going to pay hospital bills later. He said, basically, that's the one thing where actually you should be like, you should actually feel good about throwing money towards, because higher quality food means you're healthier, you feel better, et cetera, et cetera. And at the time I was like, that's really classist because I know he's a millionaire. I was like, that's lame. But I kind of get it now, because it's like you can't credibly complain about the cost of food, about high quality food, unless you are not smoking cigarettes, you're not drinking alcohol, like you're actually not throwing money at things that are actually aggressively killing you. At that point, I will take someone seriously for complaining about investing 25% more in higher quality food. But like most people are just like,
also
Netflix.
Like I gotta stop myself from going on too big a rant here, because I can rant about this for ages, but I'm just thinking about bird flu, right? Like, I mean, animal agriculture is so fucking not only unethical and unsustainable, but also like inefficient and actively fucking like dangerous, like a public health hazard. Like, it's literally production, like, poultry, egg production, etc., that's leading to this bird flu. And people are complaining about the fucking cost of eggs. It's like, dude, just go buy some beans. Just get something else to eat. But people want, like the fucking egg industry to be even further subsidized just so they can keep eating eggs. And it's like, you realize this problem isn't going to go away, right? Like the bird flu is going to keep spreading. It's only going to get worse. They're going to be culling more and more chickens. Like, it's not, like you can't just ask for even further subsidies on animal agriculture just to solve this Band-Aid. So I think it's also what people want to eat. Everyone wants to eat nothing but fucking animal products, even the most unsustainable ones like beef, and they want to eat it every day and for the cheapest prices. That you don't see that in other countries. You don't see that in places like India, where people will naturally eat plant-based. Yeah.
I've reached a point where I'm going to cease sounding constantly like a tea kettle that's about to commit suicide, because that's how I sound for life. But you realize humans are fucked, and it's a really brutal earth that you're on right now, and it's really compounded by the complexities of the technological stuff and the pesticides and everything's going on. It's like every man for himself. Honestly, that's all I can really say anymore.
I wish it didn't have to be like this, but it's true. It's like,
I pick my battles. I pick my battles. I don't eat the animals. I always save the animals, but people and what they do and the politics behind them, I can't help them. I can't save them. And at the end of the day, they're self-destructive anyway. Their impulses are to destroy themselves or destroy each other, and they're just a disgusting animal who will never stop. Sorry.
Like I said, I can rant for ages, but I think the egg thing just exemplifies it the best because animal agriculture is already so unsustainable, and the only reason why it's cheap is just because of the subsidies. But like people out there, like they don't even want a sustainable food system. They don't even want a healthy food system. They just want to keep eating junk food. And the second that something like this happens, they're going to make it a political issue. And whoever's going to come along and let them keep their habits, no matter what cost it has to the rest of the fucking people around them and the earth and the animals, they're just going to be kicked out. And whoever out there is going to let them keep their habits is who's going to be voted in. So I'm pretty fucking angry with the general public, really.
Yeah.
You can't just blame people at the top.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame. Right. You know what I'm talking about.
The world we live in now, ignorance is no longer an excuse for almost anything. Like, I think even if you go back 25 years ago, you could say, oh, hey, actually, like, you probably didn't know this, but like, here's how fast food is actually killing you. Now we're just left with people who have low impulse control and low IQ, and people who are smart who have high impulse control. And that is the stratification right there. And so that's all you have to know. And it's like, at this point, I think it's fair to have a diminished like empathy for people that are just aggressively killing themselves and aggressively making bad decisions, because we have all the information we need.
Well, they're killing people around them too.
That too, and they're inconveniencing everybody and dragging down the healthcare system by paying into this. It's terrible. I wouldn't say like purge all the poor people, but when they don't have the gumption to change their habits, and here's the catch-22 is as you eat this stuff, your cognitive abilities go down, and then you tell them, hey, use your brain, and then they go, well, I really can't. So what do you want me to do? And then so I just think, well, I just need to separate myself from people. I tried to save alcoholics. I tried to save fat people. I've tried to convince my wife, always talking to people that she works with, hey, it would be nice if you weren't, drinking milk and eating candy first thing in the morning and feeding that to your kids. And so I don't think I can save anybody, but when I used to travel around, I used to notice the varying degrees of ingredients. When you go to the poor neighborhood in New Orleans, you'd get these things like BHT, which blew me away. I immediately had to Google. This was like 15 years ago, and I Googled it and stuff because when I was in California, these ingredients weren't in there.
I read all ingredients.
Not only that, not only that, exactly, because you always exist in a nice part of town. The other thing is, the amount of Coca-Cola, sugar in Coca-Cola changes based on where you are. And in poor places, the kind of sugar and the amount can be almost twice as high. If I lived in Colorado and I've lived in California, they go, Vermont, they go, oh, we don't want a lot of sugar. So, but in Alabama, they say nobody's smart enough to realize what we're doing. Let's just,
It's also the type of sugar because, you have to, if you have like a sugar addiction or if you enjoy sugar, you have to consume way less cane sugar than you do high fructose corn syrup. So that's why I drink Mexican cola, etc., because you'll be consuming just a quarter of the sugar, a quarter of the calories, but it tastes the same as a high fructose Coca-Cola, the kind that they sell in the United States. And that's a political thing. It's just because we produce so much corn here and they don't want sugar importation. Right?
And so as my wife was discovering this about Bosnia, it brought up old grievances that I had against the same food system in America when I went around. And I was desperately trying to wrangle AI to tell me why. What is this? Is this a form of social murder? Are they trying to purge us from the earth? Why would they take extra money, extra time to be extra ingredients and extra sugar byproducts and what do you say? Colorants and
pesticides.
They don't put pesticides in the food as additives. Ingredients. I'm talking about like additives, the stuff that keep it fresh. What do you call it? Anyway,
preservatives.
There you go.
You know what's funny is in Spanish, a lot of people think preservatives is preservativos, but that's actually how you say condom in Spanish. And I learned that the hard way when I was 17. But whatever, continue.
Yeah. So I forgot where I was going, but essentially,
just talking about the different food quality amongst places. But it's really bad. It's really bad in America. But
Well,
I mean,
I was trying to figure out whether or not that the people why this was motivated, because you're actually putting extra labor into these products at the detriment of the consumer, and so half of it is the addictive quality of the food itself, to make sure that the MSG and the sugar keeps people coming back. And of course, there's this great race between companies. Well, when they put a little bit more sugar in their food, of course, the consumers flock over there. And so then everybody's putting as much sugar till they get to the legal limit of sugar that you put. And then they go lobby Congress to higher the limit and stuff. And because that can never slow down. And the other thing is, well, that was the other part. It's like, that's one thing. But other than that, I really couldn't understand other things like colorants. Or colorants are really pervasive in poor communities, and rich people eat whole food, plant-based diets, or they go out for a nice braised beef with, potatoes. They basically eat a whole food diet just with animal products.
and it'll be better
right?
quality animal products without all the shit pumped into it.
Right.
Usually.
You don't see extremely rich people fat as fuck and unhealthy because they have a good life and they want to live. Well, poor people don't necessarily have a good life. They're living for the moment, and the people that make these products know that, and they just go after. You want a little something to take away the pain of being a fucking worthless, useless, fucking redundant piece of shit? Here, have some Cheetos, have some Mountain Dew, have a beer, have a pack of Newports, and just fucking do it up.
I think you have to also consider too that I think there's a certain, and this isn't really so much a poor thing. I'm not equating poor to low IQ, but you have to consider that like dumb people are really impressed with like bright colors and like the superficial sort of triggers of like, and I think there's just a lot of wow, whiz bang, like, and that kind of thing that it's not about the quality. It's just solely about like what's going to get the sale from somebody who doesn't have any sort of ability to kind of think things through. So I think there's a lot of that.
Well, the colors signify to them sweetness, because after one candy bar, one thing, and that's, poor people feed their poor children candy at an early age, and so they are, by the time you're 3, you drive back by McDonald's and you know what that fucking, that's why they built the fucking sign so tall that the kids could see it in the back seat and scream at the top of their lungs, I want a Happy Meal. And that works. And that's a real thing that they did, because they realized that the kids were the ones dictating a lot of the times what the parents do.
So when I drank, I was a straight up beer drinker. I didn't even really like the taste of liquor because it was harsh, but my generation's actually doing a lot better on alcohol consumption. I think it's much lower than prior generations.
I saw that.
But it's beginning to increase, and it's literally because of what you said. Is they're releasing all these seltzers that just have like flashy colors and like kind of fruity tastes, and are like like raspberry seltzer or something like that, or it's literally like chemical tasting. Like God even knows what it is, alcohol. Just because like my generation doesn't like beer, they don't like they don't like the kind of traditional looking bottle shape. They don't like the yellow color, like the kind of dingy yellow color. Like they like this stuff. It's the same thing with my generation doesn't smoke cigarettes, but they'll vape, and they have all these candy flavored vapes, etc. And it's way worse.
Oh,
it's all way worse for you. Like like you can drink way more. Like there's that Four Loko. You know that, right, Chris? Well.
Oh, of course.
You ever heard of that, Peter? Four Loko? It's
a syrupy, sugary, alcoholic energy drink that homeless people would take a 40 of malt liquor and this syrupy, caffeinated sugar alcohol, and then pour it together and like I've done shit face, and you vomit the worst kind of stickiest, colorful, rainbow colored vomit.
Dude, so like even before I was in treatment, like I think this might have even been a last straw moment for me. I'm just going to share a photo so you guys know what I'm talking about. I tried having one of these, and it was so
I'm having flashbacks.
I tried having one of these, and like after a sip of it, I puked. And I was just like, why would anyone drink this? And it's like,
you got rich kid stomach.
No, I mean, look,
he's got rich kid stomach. That's what it is.
Insane is like, this is like 12% alcohol, but it's like the size of like, what is it? Like a 24 ounce? Yeah. Can of beer, but it's got as much alcohol as an entire bottle of wine. So, and you can buy it. You can buy it for $3. That's like entire bottle's alcohol.
Social
worth
murder.
Of wine for $3. It's insane.
Help me understand this. Like my parents never instilled anything on me in terms of like health, maybe a little bit, like we're not going to go to McDonald's, but like I pretty much came to all this stuff on my own. Like there's never been a point where that seemed like a good idea, like what you just described. Like nobody's putting a gun to anyone's head and going, drink this toxic corn syrup sludge, or for that matter, smoke the crack or whatever. Like nobody. I'm trying to figure
Dude, here's the deal. Even though you were the poorest kid in a rich neighborhood, that rich neighborhood saved you from being a victim of like peer pressure and status quo, kind of like, if everybody's doing it, then surely it's fine to do it. And when you become a product of your environment, essentially, which is a cop out in some ways, but look, people, even us, we think we're so hoity-toity, smart and savvy and stuff. We're still being coerced and wrangled and towards and manipulated constantly.
I think individualism and kind of free thinking as well, though, is also like, you know, sort of a privilege or like a sort of relic of like the modern age in some sense. Because in the past, you really had to follow what the tribe was doing. The thing was, in the past, the tribe would fucking keep you safe. Nowadays, everyone's an idiot who wants to get you and themselves killed. So that entire evolutionary adaptation's out the table, you know, just in this modern world.
That's
like,
an
people are
interesting
so
one.
mean these days and cutthroat. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've just noticed like ever since I think ever since I think COVID and social distancing changed a lot of this. Like I've just generally noticed. I thought at first it was when I came to the US, I'm like, Americans aren't really that nice. But then I went back to countries that I've been to in the past, like the UK, Dubai, even India. And you know, well, India had severe trauma because of COVID, which people don't even realize how much that ravaged the country. But like, people are just so mean and rude and whatnot, and everyone's like all for themselves these days. But like, we fundamentally need each other, and I don't mean this in a hippie wholesome way. I just mean it in a practical way. I mean, we need each other if we want to survive. I mean, you know, people have their own skills that they bring to the table. It's just ridiculous.
That's the problem, because we what progress is pushing us towards, and these corporations put out PR releases about the glory of technology and progress, but in reality, what they're trying to edge us towards is more isolationism under the guise of individualism, which has been always the crux of capitalism, is keeping us separated, but unified in some sort of ideas. They want us living in the same neighborhood, but with big fences and not really talking to each other. And I just don't. I don't know. The social fabric is coming undone. And that's because of a lot of reasons. Statistically, biologically, the biosphere is collapsing, all these things, the sperm rate going down, the IQ is going down, the pervasive chemicals in the water, blah, 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 blah. And these looming psychological crises, like existential crises, like climate change, which half of the people say, oh my God, and the other half go, denial, denial, denial. And so this has already been, and then years of mistrust built up from bad geopolitical decisions by the U.S., subjugating these people, fucking over these people, bombing them, endless wars, blah, blah, blah. So now people don't even trust the government, whether or not they're conservative or liberal, doesn't matter. Nobody believes in the fucking, the system anymore. And then on top of it, fragile economics situation where not only did we had the pandemic, which opened up new worries for everybody, but it also led to a recession that saw a bunch of wealth get sucked out from some people and go right to the top of the billionaires. And now everybody's lining up down the highway in Houston to go to the food bank and stuff. What do you expect? The social fabric is coming unweaved, and we're just seeing it in real time. It's like a fucking car accident.
Everyone's screaming so much over Trump and not doing it. And by the way, I'm sorry to say, barely anything's happened. I mean, certainly, you know, some like threatening gestures have been made, and you know, they're trying to send out a message, etc. But like, it's not all over yet. Like, nothing's actually happened. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the trade wars, etc. He's going back on it. I don't understand why people are working themselves into such hysterics, so much of a frenzy, but they're not getting involved in like local community activism. They're not, you know, reaching out to others and making sure that they're
doing
safe. It's like
even they're in their hysteria about what's happening. They're actually doing exactly what they're told, which is to be worried from the press releases that we send you from corporate media down your throat, what to be outraged about, it doesn't matter who's running the country. The outcome is going to be the same, because we have wealthy people who don't want to redistribute their wealth. And it's only going to get worse and worse and worse as they think up new ways to save us with libertarian ideas like deregulation and take it. They're going to do whatever they can do to keep their money, but also say, we're working on it. In reality, people are going to get poorer. And I just don't see a way where the average people are going to be able to squeeze their way back into power. Violent revolution is going to be off the table as soon as technology like AI makes it so, and it's already there, can stop organizations of people before they even start.
The surveillance is insane. Look, my theory is, and I don't know how many people this is, but it's certainly at least some people I know. And I actually see a reasonable amount of this in my own psychology. The only thing is I recognize it is that a not so insignificant amount of people out there who are, leftists and liberals and are against all these fucking idiots like Trump and Musk actually enjoy them being in power and fucking things up because firstly, they enjoy the excitement and the novelty of it. But secondly, it also gives them an excuse to look away from their own problems and their own lives and the things they could be doing in their day-to-day lives. If you blame all your problems on a failing country run by idiots, and certainly that is a problematic thing, it's a lot more mentally, it's quite relieving.
I think, look, half of the time they're hopeless, but at the same time, like, they could do more. It would maybe not be a pit.
Well, they don't want hope. It
would be a drop in the ocean.
They don't want hope. They also get off on the excitement. They get off on the excitement.
That's it. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I read the news and it gets me motivated.
Everyone needs to understand that as we go into whatever the future holds, like it is like Chris, you said, everyone is in, like, it's every man for himself right now, and you have got to figure out how to take control of your own destiny because nobody is going to save you, like literally nobody. And it's only going to get worse because there used to be like at least, you get a college degree, you've got some level of insurance that like your income's never going to fall below a certain amount, or you'll be reasonably comfortable, and that's just obliterated. So like everyone needs to bunker down and figure out how they're going to take control of their own destiny, because if you don't and you just outsource everything, or you just sort of relinquish control to, this administration sucks, so therefore my life sucks, like your life is going to go downhill so fast you won't even know what happened.
Yep.
And I saw kind of off topic, but it's protest, like an I don't know if it was a Women's Day protest or like all the signs were like Musk and Trump related. So I was just going by my window. There's 300 people that went by my window, and I'm looking down, and I'm like, and I see all the signs, and they're all, not all, a lot of them were themed around research, like defunding university research kills people. And so I was like, wait a minute, I think I'm for defunding university research because that's all animal research. And
wow,
but
good point.
To your point, yeah.
Well, hey, not all of it, okay, but
not all
yeah.
of it. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, enough that I'm all for pulling the plug on wherever that spigot is. But
I'm worried about
that's
academia.
the other thing about that's the other thing about Trump and Musk is like the fact that they're going to dismantle it. That's fine. You need somebody with a wrecking ball to come in and just fucking ruin everything and then start again and decide, okay, what do we actually want to spend money on? Because I heard conservatives complain about what people were spending money on science. I was like, yeah, this is legitimately stupid. We shouldn't be giving cigarettes to fucking lemurs to see if,
Well, I'd say some of the only people, based on the college that I go to, who have their heads like on straight are like, some of the professors who are from academia. Like they're, some of the only people doing guidance, like, actually managing. Because like, my university, like most university administrations are fucking stupid, right? In the United States, they're stupid. They're incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. Typically, it is just really good faculty who are usually quite educated, who look out for the students, etc. And I think I think this new environment now, where like in the past it used to be students and faculty with one another in war against the administration, is actually it's changed, and now students out there actively want their faculty and their peers censored, and the administration is more than happy enough to do that. And this includes, by the way, people who have views that I don't necessarily agree with. And the defunding of university research is mostly hurting academics, like that. So I would say at least the defunding that's happening is not the kind that I agree with. Like I agree that we shouldn't fund animal research, and despite my like STEM and tech background, I'm not necessarily sure like how much research we need to be doing on fucking putting people on like Mars. Like I just don't even think that that's something we should be worrying about in this day and age.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that
that's
maybe not
another
that
thing.
kind of research. I'm just saying the kind of research that's being defunded right now, and that they were probably protesting against being defunded. Is I would say they're probably in the right and that they have a point, because that's the important kind,
Well, it's all
in my
dependent.
view
We
at
don't
least.
know until we
Well,
know what it was. Yeah, we won't know.
well, no, it's humanities departments and law
Hey,
departments and
nutrition
stuff like that
science.
that are
I want
taking.
nutrition science to keep getting pushed forward so that people can understand that they're actually way better off.
Hell yeah.
I was trying to convince my boss or my partner over here to do it, but he's hard up. He doesn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the only resistance that happened to animal research at my school came from members of the philosophy faculty and their students. So, considering that considering that pulling research money is impacting them the most, and academia is going to be so hard to get into, because I'm big into philosophy, especially analytic philosophy, philosophy of science, etc. And one of the paths I was thinking of going to is sort of ethics and computer science, and maybe researching ethics in the information technology field. Even studying ethics is how I got into animal rights and veganism,
Go for
and
the
leftism in
money.
general. But
Go for the
no,
money, Riddick.
well, it's something that I'm good at, and academia it doesn't pay that badly, especially if you get a job at like a good
That's true.
liberal arts college, and you got a lot of references and a lot of connections and stuff. Which, to be honest, I do, but it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work now, because academia is just being gutted.
Nothing you're describing is the recipient of federal funding. Like, that's not what I associate when they're talking about grants. Like, nothing you're talking about would be compromised by pulling the plug on just ridiculous grants to.
I'd have to look into it more, but yeah. Well, that's what I care about the least, at least. Hey, look, maybe I wonder if the whatever the hell Kash Patel, the Hindu Indian anti-FBI conspiracy theorist who now leads the FBI, is doing. I wonder if that's going to be to our benefit or not.
Yeah, interesting. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I think we've had.
He's going to be the Indian Timothy McVeigh. There's someone that we should have executed. He was good at getting rid of federal jobs. Sorry.
Don't start. You want to get that now? The FBI will be right back.
I should not have made that joke with the heat on me, but you know what I mean. Hey, look, that entire thing, like the OKC conspiracy theories, like those are the ones that I unironically believe. Let me just lay that out there. Well, I believe because it's fun, not because I actually do. But yeah, man.
Oh, I believe him. No, I think. Oh yeah, no, I believe the University of, or not university, the Kansas City bombing ones are by far the most credible of just about any of the mainstream ones that I've seen.
Kansas City bombing.
What did I say? Oklahoma City. Sorry.
I wasn't sure if that was a separate thing or not. Well, I mean, like, there's multiple layers to it. They're actually making a movie. This is part of the reason why I went down that rabbit hole. They're actually making a movie about McVeigh that's coming out in a few weeks, so I want to watch that. But it's interesting to me, having read a book about him that was literally written in an interview, like interviewing him in prison, like how badly that story is told by most people. Like, I don't know where people get the idea that he was a neo-Nazi or a white supremacist. I mean, he was not woke on racial issues, but he wasn't. And like, I watched a documentary about him, 0 Hour, recently, which was made about it was made about that's from the BBC, that was made about him. And it was so weird, the documentary that was made. Like, they talked about all this irrelevant shit from his childhood, but they never talked about the fact that he was literally sent to Iraq to kill people, and that he felt really angry at the government for putting him in that position. And that's why he wanted to do what he saw as a military strike against the government. Like, he literally explicitly says that, and that's not paid attention to. Instead, we're told that it's weird. It's just weird to me that, firstly, people in my age group don't know about that. Secondly, the story that's told is just so obviously false, and there's just so much evidence about it that's false. That's that comes directly from the faucet. But
you'll find that time and time again with these type of things. There's a book that just came out called I forget what it's called. What is it called? I'm sorry, I'm somewhere else. But these documents got leaked from the government that we finally declassified, and it was like, boom, we killed 500,000 to 1 million communist people in Indonesia by giving tons of weapons to this general military dictatorship and stuff. And yeah,
Well, Peter, now I'm
misery
in the
and
position. Peter, now I'm in the position that you've been in the past, where I'm complaining about like the generation below me. Except like, I actually, here's the thing. Like you'll say, "Oh, I have a point." I'm saying I have a point, but I think it's on a scale. I think it's on a
the
scale.
Jakarta method. Sorry.
Like my
Wait. The name of the book is the Jakarta method. By the way, thank you.
I will look into that. I think
Go
it's
ahead.
on a scale, and each generation has progressively gotten shittier. I think that mine certainly has problems that yours didn't have, but the generation below me. So like we kind of grew up on technology, but not really. A lot of my peers around my age, just to reiterate, I'm 23 years old. We did start using technology and computers, but we started using them and we did get plugged into social media. But that was typically around the teenage age, around 15, 16, maybe sometimes a bit earlier, like 12, 13 at earliest. But not from the age of toddlers, not from the age of being toddlers, right? Like kids who grew up in the early 2000s didn't grow up on laptops. You know what I mean? Like, but that's happening. That's been happening since like 2010, 2011 or so. Like literally since the day they're born, they're looking at fucking laptops, looking at screens, and like they don't learn anything. They don't know what's going on around them. Like it's amazing to me, and they just don't even know the history. That anything that happened even a few years before they were born, they don't know. A not so insignificant amount of like tweens and whatnot, people who are 11, 12 years old out there, like they've never heard of 9/11. They've never heard of it. And people in my age group, by the way, if you ask them like, oh, what date did it happen, they often have to like think about it. They don't even know 9/11 refers to the date. Maybe they think that the 11 was the Twin Towers and the 9 was like the shape of the planes. Just I don't know what they think. Many of them don't even know that more than 2 planes were hijacked. And it's like, this is such a major event that even though it happened a month before I was born, completely shaped, with my parents living in New York at the time, but probably more so, completely just shaped my entire view of the world. And they've never heard of it. Also, kids younger, they've never heard of the Holocaust either. It's insane to me. Like, they just don't know basic history. They just don't even know how. I'm sorry, they don't even know how scary and evil this world can be and how it can get. They've never heard of the wars that this country's fought. They've never heard of the Iraq War, the War on Terror. They don't know what's going on. And they grew up in COVID era, and all they know is fucking Skibbity Toilet and all these like animations and shit on YouTube. It's insane.
Yeah.
I can't even get it.
Hey guys,
exponentially worse. Yeah.
Pete's got to go.
All right. Well, it was great talking. It was great talking, guys. Let's catch up again sometime soon. Let's do it.
Will do. All right. Pete, we'll be in touch. Send me an email so I don't forget. We'll talk to you sometime this week. We can bro down on the Habs.
I want to see what you two get up to. All right. How's your book going, Chris?
It's good. It's almost done. We're going to do it. Yeah. We're going to kick it out, and I'm going to give it to Pete, and Pete's going to read it. Maybe he'll write a foreword. Then we'll just either he'll publish it for us. We'll split the proceeds and give them out to animal charity groups or whatever. I don't care. Whatever you guys want to do.